Okay, can everybody see what I've got on the screen there? The YouTube.
Yep.
Okay, how we're going to do this today, just like a normal standardisation session, but this is purely for speaking and listening. Because we haven't got a huge amount of time, we're just going to look at one task for entry level 3 and one task for level 2. That being because they're very, very different in what we're looking for. Hopefully you've had time just to have a quick look at the guidance on how they can achieve on those tasks, and hopefully also you've printed off the assessment record sheet. So what I'd like you to do as we're watching the video, I'd like you to concentrate on one person, I don't mind who it is, and then make notes against the criteria to say whether you think they've achieved or not. Now at this point, I'm not looking for a huge amount of detail because we'll run through later about the kind of detail we're looking for. But I just want you to just decide whether you think they've achieved against those criteria. Just some pointers. We're going to look at entry level 3 first. So you might want to make some notes on this, on certain things that we are looking for. So on entry level 3, task 1, each candidate is expected to give 2 short explanations that last about 1 minute each. So we're looking for 2 explanations from each candidate. And then the other person who is in the assessment with them has to ask them questions about those explanations. And that person needs to ask at least 3 questions. So 2 explanations and 3 questions. And then obviously the next time, person B is going to give the explanations and then person A is going to ask those questions. Now it does say in the guidance that for task 2 there should be only 2 candidates in the assessment. So that's another thing we're looking out for. And then the assessor should be there and they should be facilitating the assessment. So the candidates shouldn't just be left to it. The assessor should be there and they should be facilitating it. Also, they have to show that there's been some preparation there. So if they're going into the assessment and they don't appear to know what they're talking about or have done any research, that doesn't show any preparation. But they can't be sitting there reading from a script. So there's a happy medium between them going and preparing and maybe writing some bullet points, or going away and preparing and writing a whole script that they're going to read from. Because otherwise it becomes a reading activity rather than a speaking and listening activity. And then finally, they have to show that they can meet the criteria on most occasions. So any occasional weaknesses in performance are acceptable. So it's about us deciding whether they are occasional weaknesses. So an example might be they may occasionally use an inappropriate word or inappropriate phrase, but the rest of the time they've met the criteria, in which case we are going to allow them to pass. Okay, any questions before we watch the video? Okay, so it's a 16-minute video. I'm not going to watch all of it. So I'll make a decision at some point when we stop, but just try and note down as much as you can. I think there are, hold on, there's 4.
Good morning to.
There's 4 people in there. One person is the tutor and one person is a member of staff. Lorna, I think her name is, she's a member of staff. And the tutor is the lady that's going to be speaking first. So the other 2 are the 2 people being assessed. Okay? Hoping you can hear this okay.
All of you, this is edXL Functional Skills Entry Level 3 English Speaking and Listening Exam. My name is Tandrani Mukherjee and I'm your assessor and interlocutor for this day. We have 3 candidates. Could you please introduce yourselves?
Hello, my name is Laura Gutierrez.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Beatriz Sosa.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Estefania Giraldo.
Thank you. We would start with task 1, activity 1, when Laura would start speaking about her favorite hobby. Once Laura has spoken about it, Beatrice and Stefania would ask her questions. When the questions have been asked, Beatrice, you would start talking about your favorite hobby, and then Laura and Stefania would ask you questions. When they have finished asking questions, Stefania would speak about her favorite hobby, and then Laura and Beatrice would ask her questions. Okay?
Yep.
Shall we start?
Yes.
So Laura, you can start.
Okay, my favorite hobby is reading. My favorite two styles are narrative and poetry. If you talk about narrative, my favorite author is Julio Cortázar because he's an amazing writer. He was so innovative by his time. And for poetry, my favorite is Pablo Neruda because just he's amazing. My favorite book is Rayuela. It's a history about a couple that they fall in love, but for different reasons, the guy have to come back to Argentina and he will stay in Paris. Okay. I like to read because for me it's like I can be in a different places and I can be like a different characters all the time. So relaxed and it's like a being in a different place.
Okay. When do you read?
When I have free time, usually if I go in a bus or in a flight, not at home at all.
What is your or who is your favorite author?
I don't have any favorite author, but if I have to choose, for sure it is Cortázar.
And you was telling about the story.
Yeah.
Does the couple meet again?
No, they never gonna see each other again.
Oh, so sad.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
How many books did you read in your life?
I never count, but maybe 100 per year, more or less.
Can you tell me any other author that you like?
Well, there are many. I don't know, do you know, for example, The Colmena? It's for a Spanish guy, which is really good. It's for a golden time. I don't know the name in English.
Okay.
I can recommend you many.
What's the next book that you want to buy?
You know, the thing is, I love to buy books, but I never have time to read it. I have a long list to read. Now I'm gonna start with it's a poetry book, Yellow Tulipans.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I will start to tell about my favorite hobbies. I have many, but my favorite one is going out with my friends. So we like to go shopping. We like to go Oxford Street to buy makeup and clothes. So however, I don't use too much makeup, but I like to buy. So sometimes we meet for a dinner, sometimes we meet for a lunch. So we like to try new kind of food, like Vietnamese food, Mexican, Indian, different kinds of food. Yeah.
When you go out with your friends, which kind of food do you like to try?
Oh, actually different. I'm from Peru. I like ceviche, or also other kind of food. We are like open mind to
Yeah, I love
try
ceviche.
different dishes. Yeah.
Nice.
Which shop is your favorite one?
Oh, my favorite one is Sarah.
Sarah? Okay. Which food that you try is your favorite one?
I don't have really one because I am like an open mind, like to eat. I like to try different dishes. So I don't have really one.
Did you spend so much money when you're going out?
So not really.
Not really? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna talk about my hobby, my favorite one. My favorite one is to travel. I love to travel. I've been in Turkey, I've been in Greece, I've been in Colombia as well because it's my country. And my favorite one was Greece. It was because I met a lot of people. It's a new cultures, new languages, and it was really nice. It was hot as I went on August 2 years ago, and I will go again in 2 months' time.
Nice. Did you try the proper Greek food?
Salads.
Yes, salad.
It was the salad. Yeah. I was eating salad every single day. Yeah.
Where do you want to go in your next travel?
Which country?
Yeah.
The next one is Thailand.
Ah, nice.
I'm gonna go in September with my friends, and I think it will be really nice.
How much money, more or less, you think you can spend in each holidays, in each flight?
It depends because Thailand, for example, is really expensive.
Okay.
I mean the tickets on the stay in there. But once I'm gonna be there, it's gonna be cheaper as the money is going down.
Okay. That's
but
cool.
I spend like £2,000 because I'm gonna stay like
That's
20
a lot.
days. Yeah.
So, how many countries did you visit? Have idea?
Like 7 or 8.
Okay, so what is your next country? Are you going to visit?
Thailand.
So, do you have other hobbies?
Any other hobbies? I love to dance. I love to dance salsa. It's one of my favorite hobbies as well. Bachata, I mean Latin music.
In general.
Okay, we're just going to skip through to the next explanations.
It was funny because it was like the most.
Okay.
What was the boring episode? Any other? So you just like comedy?
Yeah, just like comedy.
Okay.
They didn't see each other before, so they have a party, and so they have a game for the food every week. One person is nominated, so sometimes they use strategies. They have to do in the house, like cooking, to clean. One a week, one is nominated, one person is leaving the house. So who is the last in the house? So they can be famous. Also, they can win a lot of money. So
How much money the winner can make it?
I'm not sure actually. Maybe 5,000. Yes, something like that.
That's good. Why do you like so much?
Well, I find it interesting because sometimes I need to guess if they are doing a strategy, using something strategy for staying in the home long time, or sometimes that's true. Yeah.
So you're not watching now?
No.
Okay.
No,
How many years you've been watching Big Brother?
Oh, it was a long time ago. It was maybe 15 years.
Okay. Right, so based on that task then, if we look at Beatrix, for example, What do we think? Does she meet the criteria for E3.3? So was she able to communicate information and opinions clearly on a range of topics? Anybody got any input?
Yeah, I've got some stuff for her, Jen. Luckily,
Yep.
the one I'd show. Yeah, she is talking about going shopping a lot. About what, especially what she enjoys shopping for, and going out for food, and also, I think the questions that she obviously got into other people's topics and hobbies as well. So she's asking about the traveling for the other person as well, and about reading how many books. So she obviously could think of questions on the spot to sort of bulk up the knowledge on them.
Yeah. So would you say she achieved on that criteria?
Yeah, I'd say 3.3. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody feel that she didn't achieve for 3.3? No? Yeah, okay, so I agree too. I think she did achieve. I mean, the thing that we're looking for here is we were looking for 2 short explanations, which she gave. We saw she gave an explanation about her favourite TV programme. She gave an explanation about her hobbies. Now, there's no right or wrong answers within that. The information she gave might have been completely wrong. So when she was explaining about Big Brother, that information might be completely wrong, but she was able to give those explanations. And they did last for roughly about a minute each one. So for E3.3, I'm satisfied that she's achieved that criteria. E3.4, so did she respond appropriately to questions on a range of straightforward topics? Anybody got any input on that? Any volunteers? Shall I pick someone? Shall I be me? Danny, go on. I saw you scribbling away.
Well, we're on E3.4, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did respond appropriately to the questions that I asked of her. So they were asked what kind of stuff she liked to do, and she answered that she liked to go buy makeup. They asked what kind of food she first time to eat, and she chose them. So yeah.
Yeah.
She answered appropriately.
Yep. So do you think she met the criteria?
Yeah, I do.
Yep. Anybody disagree that she didn't meet the criteria? No? Good. I agree. She met the criteria. Again, some of her answers might not have been correct, but she still was able to respond to questions that people asked of her. Remember, this is entry level 3. We're asking about straightforward topics. So absolutely fine. Activity 2 within the same task is that they are able to extract detail from the other person's explanations and ask them questions. So E3.1, identify and extract relevant information and detail in straightforward explanations. Has anybody got any input on whether she achieved that criteria? Charlie?
If I'm being honest, I'm a bit flustered. Just disappointed that none of my team are actually here. So I was
Okay.
drafting.
I'm still here. I'm here.
Pointing emails to my team, so I wasn't fully paying attention. If I'm being completely honest, so I'll take a pass on this question, Jen. Sorry.
Okay, Charlie.
I think she did. I think she did, Jen.
Who's that?
Jasmine.
Oh, hi, Yasmin. Yeah. So, okay, what have you written for that then? What was your input on that?
I didn't write because obviously this is the first time I'm going to be teaching it, so I haven't taught it before. So I think some of the guys haven't they? So I think she did because there was a question, about the holidays.
Yeah.
And then she carried it on.
Yeah. So you think she met the criteria?
Yes, she did. I think she did.
Yeah. Excellent. Anybody disagree that she met the criteria? No? Good. Okay. Yeah, I agree. She met the criteria for that. She was listening. The whole point there is that they're listening to the other person's explanations and they're taking stuff from it and coming up with questions. So E3.2, make requests and ask concise questions using appropriate language in different contexts. Let's go, Matt Cheevers. Do you think she met the criteria, Matt?
I think we've got the wrong surname there, Jen. Sorry, I can't remember what Matt number 2's surname is.
Oh, you mean me?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I just saw Matt's on there. I assumed it was Matt Cheevers. I can't see everybody's faces. Yeah, okay, Matthew. Sorry, what's your surname, Matthew?
It's Wilmot.
Wilmot. Matthew. No, I told you your name's Jeff.
Oh, yeah, I can be Jeff.
You should have put Jeff.
I forget
That's why I got
what I'm called in what places.
So Matthew, Jeff, do you think?
Yes.
Do you think that she met the criteria for E3.2?
I'm kind of torn on it because she repeated a question that was asked before. Like if she'd have listened to the previous response, she would have maybe come up with a different question. So I mean, she does do what is asked of her, but she's asking for information that she's already had. So strictly speaking, by the criteria, I would say she has achieved, but in the context of the conversation, I would be tempted to mark it down.
Okay. Anybody got anything else that they wanted to input into that? Anyone disagree?
Yeah, I think it's from experience. We've had that a lot of time, especially at like entry 3. I think because they've met it, we'll probably just put it down as like a bit of guidance for if they go forward to level 1 or level 2. Just say, look, be aware of this, because as Matty said, like they have met it, and I think a positive from it, she did think of another question on the spot, like straight away. So although it might not have been as relevant as a question that she planned, I think like as it's entry 3, I think we say that it's passed, but as a bit of guidance going forwards, just be aware you're going to need to do this if you level up. So
yeah, perfect. I think the big thing to think about here is that this type of assessment is very, very nerve-wracking for the students, and we don't really want to have to put them through it again if we don't need to. So absolutely, you've picked out on something that's correct there. But as Matt says, put it as an advisory to make sure that when you're making the comment, you say, you know, I feel you've met the criteria, but this could be improved. Absolutely. Okay, so we haven't got time to look at the other candidate. But the main things that we were looking for there was, were there 2 short explanations? Yes. Did they ask at least 3 questions? Yes. Was it obvious that they'd prepared? Was there preparation there? Had they had a chance to go away and think about that topic and what they were going to talk about? Yes. 2 learners were being assessed. I'm not sure why there was 2 members of staff in there, but there's nothing to say that you can't do that. It might be that they were a bit nervous and they wanted somebody in there to show them and guide them how to do it. So that's absolutely fine. And it might have been that the assessor didn't feel that she could do that and write the assessment at the same time. So it's okay to have 2 members of staff in there, but you don't have to do that. Sorry, my cat's here meowing. I don't know if you can hear them in the background. Were there occasional weaknesses in the performance? Yes, but overall, she did meet the criteria. They did meet the criteria on most occasions. So in which case, they've passed that criteria and they passed the assessment. Okay, right, so quickly moving on, let me just find my other video. Okay, so we're going to look at the other end of the scale now. And we're going to look at level 2, and we're going to look at the formal discussion. So some pointers we need to be looking for here is the formal discussion should have 3 to 5 candidates in there. So any less or any more is not acceptable. Not all of those candidates have to be assessed. but there needs to be that amount in there, and it should last for about 15 minutes. They should all introduce themselves, and they should present a formal opening statement to say what the discussion's about. And then for the final 5 minutes, they need to reach an agreed outcome. They are allowed to make notes, so there needs to be some demonstration that they've gone away and prepared for that activity. But again, they can't be reading from a script, so we can't see any over-reliance on the notes. And like before, they need to show that they can meet those criteria on most occasions. So any occasional lapses are okay. So if they use the occasional phrase that's not appropriate, as long as they are showing that they can do it through most of the assessment, then that's okay. Okay?
Gemma?
Yeah?
Can you repeat the criteria again? Sorry.
The guidance.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're looking, it needs to be about 15 minutes, the assessment, between 3 and 5 people in the group.
Okay.
They don't all have to be assessed. So it might be that you use other learners to come and make up the numbers, but you do need there to be between 3 and 5 people there. They need to all introduce themselves.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a formal opening statement to say what the discussion's about. And then the final 5 minutes, they need to come to some sort of agreed outcome on the discussion.
Okay.
And the rest are the same as the entry 3. They can't rely on notes, etc. Okay. Oh God, the cat's here now. Bobby, stop it. Again, we won't watch all of that.
Welcome to our Level 2 formal discussion about climate change for the reformed FS qualification. I am Manara.
I'm Rosa.
And I'm Edwin.
So, what do you guys think about climate change? Is it as big of a problem as...
I'd say on this one, guys, concentrate on Edwin, and then we can all be looking at the same person.
what the media makes it out to be?
I think it is, because so far we're seeing that we hardly have any different kind of seasons. It seems like it's one season all year round, so I feel like there must be something changing.
Something going wrong. Like,
something wrong with climate.
The warming of the climate. What do you think?
I see some change. Don't know much, but yeah, there is some change.
Yeah, definitely. I think they said that it's already raised by like 1 or 2 degrees, or almost 2 degrees there, or they expect it to anyway in this century, and that would create like a massive change in melting of the ice caps
and sea levels rising,
flooding and all that stuff, which would be a massive problem for a lot of countries.
Yeah.
I think the more developed countries have a responsibility
to do something, yeah, because we could probably contribute more to, you know, the greenhouse gases and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's true. Like, developed countries must contribute more to global warming.
Yeah, we've got more cars, more buildings.
Yeah, we use more fossil fuels and gas and electricity and all that. And then we're probably the countries that aren't going to be as affected, or probably not the countries that are going to be first affected by all the rising sea levels.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I think it's like a lot of countries out in Asia, already their rice fields are already being flooded and they can't gain their crops the same, or they're having to leave their homes. If they live by the coast, they have to leave their homes because...
Yeah, we haven't seen that much. We only get, I don't know, some sun during winter time. So maybe for us it's good, but yeah, for other countries it's really bad. So I think we need to think about what we can do to help.
And also because of like the infrastructure in our countries, like in Britain at least, if stuff did start to affect our coasts and our climate more, the infrastructure we have would probably be better able to do something about it to support people so it doesn't affect them as much.
Yeah, we've got more money to probably do stuff much more quicker as well. And that,
yeah, that's true.
Like, we've got good emergency services compared to other countries. So, yeah.
It probably wouldn't affect us as bad, but definitely would cause us hassle if we don't do something about it.
Definitely. So what do you think are the things that we could do about it? Maybe like on a specific topic. So I think it's really topical at the moment, all the plastic pollution, which isn't so much about global warming, but climate change as a whole. It's changing the climate.
Yeah.
What do you think can be done more about this problem of plastic pollution? Is it a problem?
I think, well, they did in the government, they...
Just going to whiz through a little bit.
So little ideas like that would help.
I think in Sweden, they do this whole bring your glass and your cans and they'll give you money.
Some money, yeah.
Yeah, like big supermarkets. And it's a massive thing over there. And
I think,
they get
I
a
went
lot
to
back.
Amsterdam and I saw that you bring your plastic bottles and you get like a pence back, but it adds up over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It adds up, and then people can like buy things with it, and that I think would get people to do it. I think if people have the option of getting money back, people would do a lot of things.
Yeah, but I
it's
think
money
also
incentive.
when you look at plastics, because now if we use less plastics, but it means that we might use more paper, and apparently the carbon footprint of paper is actually a lot worse than plastic.
Oh.
So although we might be trying to reduce plastic usage, we might be actually increasing the carbon footprint, which is also adding to climate change. So I think we just need to do like more research into what way is the best route to tackle the problem.
Yeah, so trying to fix like the plastic pollution problem is actually adding to a larger global warming problem. What do you think, Ed?
I think ban cars.
Ban cars.
In inner cities?
Yeah, everywhere.
Or everywhere?
Everywhere, ban cars.
But don't you think that would... I mean, we all rely on our cars a lot. Like, maybe that's not the answer. Because a lot of people rely on cars to get to work.
Yeah.
It might affect the economy.
Maybe
and obviously all the car makers.
Maybe we can incentivize people to car share so that there's less cars, but maybe banning cars might be a bit, I don't know, overboard. People may not like that.
Yeah, because it's like people will feel like it's a breach of their autonomy, their rights.
Yeah.
So do you think maybe about the car ban, not an out-and-out car ban, but a ban per household and how many? Like limit it?
Yeah, no limiting. I think ban it altogether. Olden days, no cars, no climate change. And now we have climate change with plenty of cars. Ban it.
But I think like it's not just the answer to take everyone back in time to a world that's, it's much more difficult to travel around. Your social life, your work life would be affected. Everyone all over the world. And it would take every country to do this. If just like Britain banned cars.
More fitter people.
Yeah, people will have to do more exercise.
Less on the NHS.
I think we'll have riots everywhere if we did that. So
I think like we saw those protests in London.
I'm going to go towards the end to see if they agree on an outcome.
Do more in schools about climate change.
I think in geography lessons you probably learn a bit, but not in depth. I know.
Could be recycled that just goes straight into landfill.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, the government or councils, they need to do more about separating waste from all those like thousands of families.
Yeah.
It just goes into landfill.
But I think as well companies can help, because when we buy like fruit and veg, it comes in all this packaging. Do we really need that? How are companies actually taking accountability of what, like how they're damaging the environment? Because we buy it because that's what's available. If it wasn't available, then we don't have that choice. So
it's
it
true.
will help us.
When you go to supermarkets, the choice is wrapped in plastic, wrapped in plastic, wrapped in plastic. It doesn't matter what brand you buy or what shop you go to.
Yeah.
Everything's wrapped in plastic, so it's like, well, I need to buy it.
So you just get it.
So you just have to get it all wrapped in plastic, and then it goes into landfill.
So I think we can conclude that climate change is a problem. I think we all agree that it is.
Definitely.
And that something needs to be done. But what can we do as individuals?
I think also the Paris Agreement might help. There was an agreement like 2 years ago for nations to come together and be more transparent.
Cat's here now to help. You wouldn't leave me alone. Okay, so we were just watching Edwin. I think it'd be safe to say what criteria did he achieve rather than what did he not achieve. Anyone want to suggest what he might have achieved within that task?
Well, I think he introduced himself.
Yeah.
And he agreed with the outcome with them, but he wasn't very I don't know, he was like, the girls were doing more of the conversation than him.
Yeah.
So
okay, can I jump in here? Yeah, I think for point 2.6, he did express an opinion when he said that he thinks all cars should be banned, that people can go back to walking. Like, he gave an example, long time ago there was no cars and there was no climate change. So he did express an opinion and an argument there, and he sort of supported it by referring to history when there was no cars. But was it persuasive? Maybe not, because it was just so far out, and as the girls tried to bring him back, like, that's now quite unrealistic. He still didn't want to, but yeah, he did express his opinion and give an argument for it. So 2.6 he did achieve, I think, to a big extent, maybe not wholly.
Yeah, I think according to the awarding body, they say they've made reference to the fact that he did have an opinion, but they said that he didn't achieve on that task, on that criteria, because it wasn't a persuasive evidence. And this is level 2, remember. So what we expect from them is quite high. So we would expect them, if it's going to be persuasive, we're expecting facts and figures, not just, opinion, I think this, because that's what I think. We're expecting real evidence to back it up.
Yeah.
Like the girls did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they've gone away and done their research, haven't they? And are able to actual research. Absolutely. Any other points from anybody?
No, sorry. Carry on.
I think as I said, Priska 2.6, I think is probably one of the better ones. I think 2.8 and 2.10 he was touching on as well. I think it was sort of relevant contribution, albeit a bit unrealistic. He was moving the conversation forward because they were talking about plastic and paper, and then he's jumped in with the car discussion, so it's moved on, and then they've had their conversations. And I think with 2.10 as well, he sort of redirected it. So yeah.
Was it relevant and constructive? Because you can change the.
It wasn't relevant.
Change the theme, can't you, and move it forward? But is it relevant?
No, it wasn't.
I don't know. I suppose it can be taken, because if his dream does come true of no more cars, then I suppose it does help the planet. But it's
no more cars in the hole.
Yeah, we will be working from home, Matthew. Then.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So the point of that is, I mean, that one was fairly obvious that he hadn't achieved. And I think, I didn't ask you to look in detail at the girls, but I think we would look at that and we would just make a judgment straight away that they had achieved.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they've achieved.
Even without the ticking off the criteria, we can see that they've performed to a high standard. So
because their conversation was constructive.
That's it. The point of showing you these videos is to show you how it should be set up as well, and look at the sort of the standards that we're looking at there. So entry level 3, it was a very basic topic. So they were asked to go away and think of what their hobbies were and what their favourite TV programme was. But then once we got to level 2, we're asking them to go away and look at something a lot more sophisticated, so climate change, and they've asked to go away and research that and look at all the things that would encompass climate change. So that's one thing that we need to think about when we're running the speaking and listening. Is it appropriate for the level? Have they got a topic that is appropriate for that standard and that level? Are they going to be able to talk about that topic confidently? And that is they're going to have to go away and they're going to have to prepare that, whether entry level 3 when they're just talking about themselves, or at level 2 where they're asked to actually look at something more in depth. So you as the assessor are going to have to be in charge of that. Get them to help choose their topic, but get them to come and talk to you about it before they do the assessment, to make sure that that topic is appropriate and they can talk about it enough. Because 15 minutes to talk about something is quite a long time for level 2, and they're going to have quite a lot prepared for the directions they can take it in. Also, you see the setup of it. So they're all the way that they're all around the table and it's being filmed so that we can see everybody at all points. That's another thing. Again, introducing themselves, wearing name tags. And in entry level, in level 2, the assessor wasn't involved at all. So again, because it's a higher level, there's more independence there. So the assessor's probably standing back, filming it and writing their assessment record. They're not involved in the assessment. But at level 2, they're expected to be able to have that conversation themselves. Prishka, have you got anything you wanted to add?
No, I think you've covered everything. It's just to make everybody aware that obviously now the assessments are virtual, mostly virtual. You can still have a physical one like the one that we've just watched, but if you're not able to, you can actually do one like what we're doing on Zoom now and record it. But for that one, you need to be even how would I say it, a little bit more aware that they actually properly introduce themselves and properly introduce their topics, because it's a virtual one. And then I was going to say as well, if any of you need, I have a PowerPoint where I've got this information. So if you want it, just email me, or I can just email it out to all of you guys.
Just email it.
Yeah, so it's got the details. And I usually use that PowerPoint to speak about the speaking and listening to my students. So I take it, I explain everything. I explain the expectation before they're assessed. And I show them these videos that Jenna has showed us before I assess them, so they actually can have an example of what I'm expecting to see as an assessor. So I would definitely encourage you guys to make sure that you've got the links and that you show them to your students before you assess them as part of the learning in class.
That's a really good idea. Show them what the expectations are, and there's different videos for level 1 and the entry levels. So we haven't looked at the other entry levels in level 1 today because they're more sort of in the middle. But I will make sure you get the links to all of those so you can watch those in your own time. Just finally, obviously you've got a copy of the assessment record. There's a different assessment record for each level because obviously the criteria are changes for each level. We just need to make sure these are standardised. We need to make sure that all information is on the form. As I say in everything that I do, if there is a box there, it is meant to be filled in. So even if it's an NA or a no or a yes, fill it in. I think the only thing that you possibly wouldn't be able to fill in on this form is their registration number, because you need to go and get that from business support, and that can be done at a later time, but you can go and get that from them as well if needs be. But make sure you've got the centre name, the centre number. If you don't know what they are, then ask. Make sure that you've got the duration. That's really important. You're meant to say how long the assessment was, the date, and most importantly, your own name on there and the date that you've completed the assessment record. Okay, any questions? No? Okay, guys. Thank you for your time. We'll make sure you get the links, and Prishka will send through the PowerPoint that she uses. Yes, Charlie?
Yeah.
Just one question, actually.
Yeah.
For my benefit and for others, maybe. If it's a virtual assessment and we're completing the assessment forms, do we require signatures at all from any of the learners, like on the workbooks? And if it's virtual, are we able to accept e-signatures like we do for enrolment forms?
Yeah, that's fine. There's actually, because they are allowing virtual assessments for this now, they're not allowing virtual assessments for reading and writing yet, but they are allowing speaking and listening to happen remotely. And there was some guidance that came out from the awarding body, so I'll send that through to you as well, because that says what we should and shouldn't be doing on there.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Have a lovely Friday and a lovely weekend.
Thank you, Jenna. Thanks very much, Jen.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Happy weekend.